The door fell closed, enclosing them in darkness. The tunnel walls turned as black as the back of Peter's eyelids. Brida said, "I swear if I die out in those woods." Peter laughed and felt the stone stairs end under his boots. "Relax, Brida, you've done this before." "We've snuck around the castle," Brida corrected. "Around the grounds. Gabriel told me where to avoid, but we'll be in the woods. This is a bit different." Peter rolled his eyes. "It's the woods. I've hunted out there a million times." "Not at night, though," Brida added. "Do you have a map or anything?" Brida led the way. The walls and floor were so black they blended in with the darkness. The story was that Count Willem had escape tunnels built into the castle in case of fire or the Skullholdt was taken by enemies. But the commoners in the castle had other stories. That these tunnels were the last remnants of dwarves in their mountain cities. The cities Count Willem destroyed when he had the Skullholdt built over it. But those were just stories, and some of the tunnels had collapsed or been forgotten. Brida found this one a while ago when searching the basement. Anna, Sir Conrad's daughter, correctly guessed it was there, but she'll never know. As far as Peter knew, the only ones currently in the tunnel were the only ones who knew about it. And it led to a dead tree stump in the woods. Thankfully, Brida knew this tunnel even without a flame to guide them. Peter gripped her shoulder. This part of the tunnel always gave him the willies. It got so low that he had to turn sideways to get through. He tried not to look up. In the ceiling, the stone seemed to be carved in the shape of a face. Whether that was on purpose, he didn't know. "Scared, Sir Peter?" Brida asked, her voice laced with a grin. "Of what? It's dark. I can't see her face." His shin was met with a well-placed strike from her heel. "I could have you whipped for that." "Then you would have done it years ago. Watch your steps." He heard her shuffle and there was a clink. Peter stepped up and helped her push the door out. Peter was met with cold drops in their faces from the light from the full moon. "Great," she mumbled, pulling her apron closer. Peter took her arm and helped her from the tunnel and onto the grass. The tree above them was enough to cover them from the gentle rainfall. Peter unclasped his cloak and drew it around Brida. "Never fear, my lady. I shall protect you from the elements." She shoved him by the chest and clasped the brooch in the shape of a raven, a symbol of Peter's house. She asked, "How far is the Weisfrau?" "Who?" "We call her the Weisfrau," Brida said. "Zauberin can be disrespectful, but I've never been there." "She's off the small road, just before the rock that looks like an eagle." He glanced up at the stars and made a few calculations. The main road should be that way. Peter led the way this time. Nighttime sang its song around them. Owls hooted. The shrubs shook as they passed. A wolf howled in the distance. "Are you all right?" "Is the cloak warm enough?" Peter asked. "I'm fine, thanks. Although I'm starting to wish I made better friends." Peter said, "You're so funny." It shouldn't be too far now. Peter paused and made out the narrow hunting trail to the north. "This way," Peter said. "Shortcut." "I don't know, Peter. Maybe..." But Peter wasn't asking. He turned to a narrower dirt trail. The woods were getting darker. The branches reached out like bony fingers. Peter had to duck under them to pass by. The wolf howl seemed closer. Brida stumbled under a tree root. She was wearing leather shoes, and that barely seemed to be holding together. Peter held her by the arm to steady her. She yanked her arm away. I'm fine. I'm used to stone floors, not all this nonsense." "You'll get used to it, Brida. You need boots." "Well, maybe next time you can steal a pair for me, my lord." "Fine, Brida. I'll try to find a pair that fits your claws." A blast of pain shot across the back of his head. "One of these days, dragon, I'm going to shove a lance through your heart." "I dare you, Sir Peter. Not all the knights survive in those tales." But the dragon always dies, doesn't it? But doesn't it always scorch the village and eat the... A low growl cut their argument. Peter blinked, and 2 yellowish lights hovered in the brush ahead. The lights crept closer, and Peter saw the fur and ears that surrounded them. It was a wolf, the biggest he'd ever seen. Brida sucked in air and squeezed Peter's arm. Peter took a careful step forward and pushed Brida behind him. He watched the wolf approach, its great paws breaking twigs underneath. It growled low, and Peter could see its teeth. He swore he could smell the blood on its breath. Peter whispered to himself, "Wolf, wolf, what are you doing? There's a wolf." "Are you asking me?" Brida asked. The wolf took a step closer, its breath fogging its snarling snout. One of its paws was as big as Peter's head. "No one run. Ne bouge pas. Don't move quickly." Peter turned. Hugh was behind him, moving in front of Brida. He was out of breath, and his face was flushed red. "Hugh? How did you..." We need to be loud. Devant est très effrayant et grand. Loud and big." Peter shouted and rose his arms. The wolf perked up and took a step back. Hugh did the same. He jumped up and waved his arms. The wolf growled and seemed to be deciding if it was worth it. Peter felt something in his hand. "Use this," Brida said. Peter took the stick she handed him and bashed the branch above him. A rock sailed over his shoulder and bounced against the tree trunk near the wolf's head. It jumped back and gave one more growl before retreating back into the darkness. They kept shouting until they were sure the wolf was gone. Their hands fell to their knees, and they huffed and puffed. Peter watched the trees to make sure the wolf was gone. "Are you two okay?" Peter asked. Hugh nodded. Brida grunted before punching him in the shoulder. "I was always told wolves were big dogs. That was the Teufelhund, the huge demon dog." Peter rubbed his arm. "Yeah, not quite a dog, but good thinking with the rock." She mumbled, "I told you we should have stayed on the main trail." "That's where I thought you were going," Hugh said. "Why did you go out this way?" "Why are you even here?" Peter asked. "How'd you find us?" Brida shoved Hugh against a tree. "You could have gotten killed following us like that. You were all by yourself." Hugh sighed and rubbed his arm. "Thank you for your concern, Brida. Our rooms are adjoined, Peter. I heard your door open and close. Curiosity got the better of me, so I followed. Now I regret it." Brida asked, "Are we close? It's freezing out here." "We should be," Peter answered. "There should be a ridge up ahead and houses on a hill." Peter wiped his brow and tried to pretend his hands weren't shaking. The last time he'd seen a wolf, he was hunting with Sir Daniel's party a year or so ago. Much easier to be brave with 3 or 4 mounted knights by your side. He straightened up and took a breath.